And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. With me, I have a very special guest with me. I have Sean Frost with me. He's a great, talented musician. I'm happy to have him here. And, we're going to talk about Copland. This is actually one of those movies that I haven't seen. This is my first time watching it. And I'm sure Sean's seen this over 100 times, where maybe he might actually think this is the best Stallone performance that he's ever seen. And of course, I'm going to get into that nitty gritty in a few minutes. But let's go ahead. Let's start this off. And we're going to get to it now, guys. And hey, Sean.
Hey, man. What's happening?
Hey, nothing much. It's good to have you on here. I know that we chatted back like over a couple of months, just geeking out over different things. We found out that we had a lot more in common than just talking about Copland. We have Dexter in common. We have all this other, and also music as well. So it's cool to be able to geek out with someone that's also a fellow movie buff and also music buff as well. So I just want to say welcome to the show too.
Thanks for having me, man.
Welcome.
This is awesome, man, because it was nice to do the pre-show talking about the Cobra Kai and the Dexter and the Dream Theater and getting that out of the way to get into the thick of this. Now, you watched it today for the first time.
Right. I watched it for the first time today, and I got to say I loved it. And I normally how I do my reviews is I actually do a nostalgia rating at the very beginning about how you felt about it. What was the first thoughts that came to your mind when you first saw this as a young Sean Frost? And then I go into it on the fact of my nostalgia rating, but I'm going to take a back seat. I'm going to actually have an NA for this one because of the fact that I haven't seen this in 1997. I was into other things in 1997 at that time, so therefore I didn't get to see it. But I do remember the scene, Stallone being on Jay Leno. I remember that, him promoting the movie. I remember the poster of Copland. I also remember Stallone saying this is going to be his drama instead of the action that we know him as. So that's all I have as far as nostalgia goes. But what does Copland represent for you as a young Sean Frost who loves Stallone action movies and then seeing him do drama?
Like younger me wasn't, I don't want to say refined, but I wasn't, my tastes weren't they weren't where they are now, where I did not like the First Blood. Now I think it's a great movie, but I just wanted quick, get to the point, don't bore us, get to the chorus kind of thing, even though I listened to a lot of prog rock.
Gotcha.
So I liked the tongue-in-cheek stuff like Demolition Man. I unfortunately saw Stop or My Mom Will Shoot in the theater.
I did too.
So, I mean, they can't all be winners, pal, can they? So
No.
This one, I didn't see it until it came out on VHS to rent. But I remember I really wanted to see it. I watched it, and like halfway through, I'm like, he is playing a complete pussy, for lack of a better term. And I'm loving this, and the fact that he gained 50 pounds, eating crappy food. Like a guy in that shape that's eating crappy food must have been depressed as all hell, which probably also really just nailed that performance down. I loved it. And then at the end, when he does what he does at the end, I'm like, well, I guess you can't do a movie without picking up a gun, can you, pal? But younger me was shocked, and I was still not as refined, but I was still like, I'd like to see him do more of that than 90 minutes of we already know the formula.
Right, exactly.
But it was about maybe another 10 years before I watched it again. And then I was really, really on board with all the other actors a little bit more. Aside from Robert Patrick, everybody knew Robert Patrick from Fire in the Sky and T2 and Wayne's World.
Right.
And so I'm really into this cast. I'm watching this movie and I'm like, dude, why can't Stallone do more movies like this? And when The Expendables came out, I saw how tongue-in-cheek it was going to be, that I was like, this might be what I'm waiting for. It wasn't. It was fun, the first one. Just the first one. It's the only one that exists.
Yep.
And now every time I watch this movie, once it gets to the scene, he tells De Niro and his partner that he wants to help them. And they're like, no, I gave you a chance. The acting in that scene from all three is just, Stallone, you piss me off because look at what you're capable of and you refuse to do it again. Please, just, he did Creed. and he kind of stepped out of his comfort zone. He played Rocky, of course, but that's the closest he's come to Copland since.
Right. I do agree with that. That's like the closest that he's ever come to doing a cop land. I love the slow pacing of this movie too. That's also another thing I want to mention is the slow pacing of it. You're not sure where this is going to go or anything like that. We'll go into the breakdown in a few minutes of that. But I'm okay with like a slow pacing movie as long as the payoff at the end it makes sense and I'm there all the way through it. But if it doesn't, then you lost me and stuff. But with this, once that tension is released towards the end of it, it's so much it's so good at once you get down to it. You know, but what would you say out of 10 would you rate this as?
The movie as a whole.
Well, as a nostalgia of how you would.
Oh my God. I'm just gonna go with like a 7.5. I'm gonna say 7.5 because it took years for it to like really become a movie where I was like, this is a top 20 for me.
Okay.
Where 1997, I think was what's Scream 2 and Tomorrow Never Dies and all that other stuff. So I'm gonna go with a 7.5 because I still remember liking it when it came out on VHS.
Okay. And another thing too is like you mentioned Demolition Man, which is also one of my other favorite movies that the Stallone did. And it's always this tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. But to see him do something drama, aside from Daylight, stuff like that.
Daylight doesn't count as drama. Come on. I mean, it's a suspense.
I'm just going based off of his pitch. That's all I was saying. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, so I'm stuck in Lincoln Town. And I can't get out.
Just like over here.
Let me out. Let me out. Come on.
But yeah.
That was my dramatic reenactment of Daylight.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No. It's perfectly fine. I love the banter. I really do.
Everybody. Nobody should hear me doing Stallone.
My Arnold is worse than that though. But we'll get into it another time.
Fair enough.
Yeah, now that we got done with that, with the nostalgia, now we're going to break it down scene by scene. So, in a town full of dirty cops, one man stands for justice. Kind of Sylvester Stallone is here to mumble his way through corruption, crime, and a whole lot of emotional eating. Yeah, they told Stallone to gain 40 pounds in the role, and he said, yo, no problem. I've been training for this my whole life. And let's not forget about Robert De Niro, who spends half the movie yelling and the other half wondering why he agreed for this paycheck. Then there's Harvey Keitel giving off I'm definitely hiding bodies and Hudson energy. And Ray Liotta sweating so much you'd think that he was actual under investigation. So grab your donuts and bulletproof vest and maybe a translator for Stallone because tonight we're diving into Copland, where the real crime is, how underrated this movie is, and how's that? Want me to add anything? Okay, so yeah. So anyways, scene 1. The town of Garrison, New Jersey, is home to a crowd of police officers from NYPD's 37th Precinct, Lieutenant Ray Dolan, Detective Leo Kasky, and Officer Gary Figgs, Jack Ruker, Frank Lagonda, and Joey Randone, exploiting a loophole that allows them to live outside the city by being designated auxiliary transit cops. Dolan and his men are eventually untouchable by the NYPD's Internal Affairs Division and are further protected by the local sheriff. Freddie Heffen, unable to fulfill the lifelong dream of joining the NYPD due to losing his hearing in one ear while rescuing a woman as a young man. Heflin idolizing Dolan and refuses to help Internal Affairs investigator Lieutenant Mo Titan. So one night, Dolan's nephew, Officer Murray Babbage, is sideswiped by 2 African-American youths while driving across the George Washington Bridge. One of the youths points what looks like a weapon at Babbage just as the tire blows out from from a glass puncture. A frightened Babbage shoots them both dead. Dolan, Rucker, and Kasky to show up and try to plant a gun in the teen's car, only to get caught by a paramedic in desperation. Dolan convinces Babbage to fake his suicide before hiding them in Garrison with a promise that he will set him up with a new identity. So, what did you think? For me, seeing this scene play out, I'm not sure where this is going because it starts off in city life in New York City. And then you have Michael Roker, who does a fantastic job in this. I also liked him in True Romance as well. But with this, they give him a little bit to do, but then after that, he's kind of in the shadows after this. But I definitely like how he's coming out of the bar, he's drunk, and and he runs over a beer glass, and then he winds up seeing these two youths that looks like they're pointing a gun at him. It looks like a spear gun at first, the way it looks. It doesn't even look like a regular Uzi to me. But then what winds up happening is they wind up sideswiping him, and then his tire blows out, and then he winds up crashing into them. My mouth fell open because I'm like, oh, this is not good. Because number one, he's also trying to hunt them down after this happened, instead of just getting the license plate number from the car, because he is a cop. So I was just thinking, well, wouldn't it be easier? But then again, the movie would be over. But I just thought it was very interesting on how they did this, because then during this time they're trying to plant evidence, and they're not very smart cops because there's actually witnesses around to see what's going on. So you would think with them being first responders that they wouldn't wait until the ambulance arrived and everything. They would actually plant the evidence before people arrive.
Yeah, because the ambulance guy calls them out on it, I think.
Yeah,
or the ambulance guy, the paramedic ambulance guy. Okay, I'm just gonna make up words tonight. Everybody's title.
Okay. That's okay.
You know, the cop guy with the gun and the badge thing.
But yeah, you're right though, because the paramedic does spot him. He's like, "Hey, what the hell is going on? What are you doing?" He's like, "What? I found." And then the cop's like, "Hey, I got a gun here." I'm like, just conveniently, because at first the cops are like, "Hey, look, we don't see a gun. We don't know what's going on here. There's nothing here." And then you also have Michael Rappaport's character. He's over there like, "This is not good for me. I'm going to lose my career over this." And then, Murray, because Murray's like panicking the whole entire time. He's like, "This is not good." So next thing you know, you see him standing over the edge of the bridge, and you're thinking he's going to jump. And then meanwhile, they're looking for guns and stuff to plant. And at first they said, "No, we don't have one." And then it's just conveniently, not even 5 minutes, there's a guy planting a gun, and he's saying, "Oh, I got one." I'm like, really? You couldn't do like a 9mm gun? You had to go with an Uzi where everybody could see it?
Well, I mean, if you're gonna plant big,
right? But
I mean, everybody's, every cop uncle always has a couple Uzis in the back to plant just in case their nephew screws up. Don't you know this? It's a Jersey thing. It's a Garrison, New Jersey thing. Garrison, New Jersey. I love that. Why couldn't they say Edgewater or Weehawken? There was no Garrison, New Jersey.
That's right. They just do everything big in New Jersey. They just decided to go with Uzi gun and.
Well, they were on the New York side of the bridge. They were still on the New York side. They were halfway over the bridge, still in New York, where they go bigger and better because it's New York City, brother.
Right.
And Rappaport's trashed.
Yeah.
So
he's
no
trashed.
judgment. He's going to shoot these dudes.
And so at this point, they're like, "Don't worry about it, Murray. We're going to take care of this. We'll take care of you. Everything's going to be fine." And next thing you know, looks like he actually jumped. And I'm thinking that he jumped. Then he comes to find out like later on that he didn't jump at all. They're just making shit up to cover for him, and also to maybe supposedly giving him a new life.
Right.
But I definitely like how it goes into that. And then it goes into Stallone, who's in like this nice little small New Jersey town. He's playing pinball. He's also, I definitely like how he's just playing the pinball machine. And I also like how one of the characters said, "There's two people in this world. There's people who love playing arcade, and there's people who love playing pinball. You're the people that love playing pinball." And he also ends up taking the change from the parking meter to get quarters out.
That's right.
So, but I also thought that also too the introduction to Ray Liotta's character at the very beginning as well, where you see him meet up with what's her name? She played in The Sopranos too beforehand.
Oh,
Falco.
Edie Falco.
Yeah, Edie Falco. You also have Frank Vincent in this as well, that's played in The Sopranos, which is
Oh,
crazy.
yeah, I mean, if they were in The Sopranos, they were either in this or L.A. Law, or not L.A. Law and Order at the time.
Right, and you would
Although
think
everybody's
that,
been on Law and Order.
but here's the thing: you would think that with Edie playing this role in Copland, that she would actually be bigger after this.
She was in that. She was uncredited in Private Parts, the Howard Stern
Right.
movie. Done like a bunch of stuff up to that, but this didn't, because this movie didn't do so well in the box
financially.
office. That's why she wasn't as big of a name. I'm looking up who else is in this by the because Stallone we'd be getting more performances like this from Stallone if
Right.
just the box office did better. But yeah, so Edie Falco could have been bigger. I'm trying to think of what else she was in around this time.
Well,
But
I think 98 was Private Parts, I think, right?
Private Parts was 98. But she but she was uncredited. She's in like 2 scenes and I don't think she even speaks.
Oh,
But
okay.
so she's
But yeah, while you do that.
yeah. Oh yeah, you go on. I'm gonna look up. Oh, she's in Mayor of Kingstown too. Go.
Oh yeah, that's right. But you know what else though, man? Like just seeing that setup of them having this conversation, and she's talking about someone's tongue. She winds up finding someone's tongue as well because she works with Bomb Squad. It just goes to show how messed up her job is, and you don't even realize that she's even working for the Bomb Squad. All you see is the New York City Police Department logo on her bag, so you don't really know what she's really doing and what they're really setting up until like later on. So I love how they do this thing. It's like how they do the justification, not justification, but you know what I'm saying, where you have the city life and then it goes into the country life of Stallone, and I love the small town feel of it. And then it goes to show you, yeah, the New York City Police Department are corrupt, but then you see Stallone looking over his right hand side after he drives home from the bar, and he winds up running into a deer almost, and the next morning he's like, well, what did you tell the police captain? Oh, I told him you were busy, chasing down somebody. And I'm like, there was no reason to lie. You weren't watching where you were going. You weren't really drunk per se. And you almost ran over a deer. There was no reason to really lie. But it also, too, nothing ever happens in this town either.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of reminds me of the town that I live in. So
okay, I want to hear about this, man.
So basically, if you think about it, this town only covers people that are trying to break up juvenile fights, that are like trying to save a kitten in the tree. Basically, they're not used to this big, huge crime thing happening in the small town, and this corruption that's happening with the NYPD. Yeah. Police force taking over this town. So they're not used to handling something like this. And that's what I like about it, is seeing the two sides of the coin of both of them. One side is corrupt. The other side leans a little bit into corruption, but not as much as what they do. They only shade a little bit of a white lie to cover for the police officer.
Yeah. But it's not, but it also, it sets up that here's the quiet little honest town. I really wish there was a tiny town like Garrison here in northern New Jersey. There's no like tiny town like that that's peace and quiet because we're so close to the city. Everything's a suburb. But it shows that they're more on the honest side than the corruption of these guys that choose to live in this town because they know that Freddie's going to protect them anyway.
Right.
So they're just setting up Freddie like, all right, so here's how Freddie is. He's kind of a pushover. He's a sucker.
Right. And they know that he's not going to do anything because he's not going to investigate anything. And he's like, yo, okay, I'll just go on ahead, let things be the way they are and not try to investigate anything that's going on. I mean, come on. You don't see anything weird about everybody from the New York City Police Department buying out houses in your neighborhood. Right. So it's not like a family reunion where everybody just...
They were giving me quarters to play the game, so I figured, all right, that's fine. Okay.
I don't know. I just thought, hey, one day they just came over here and you know, I thought we were family.
I mean, they said I didn't see the tilt. I didn't see the tilt. I kept hitting the buttons.
Right. But yeah, Stallone is basically one of those people that don't like to file paperwork. He's just there just for the sake of being there and just wants to break up juvenile fights and little small misdemeanor stuff that doesn't really involve a lot of stuff.
Yeah, because he also like wants to be the cop that like people feel comfortable around. Like he's not
Right.
going to go and break chops like to an extent where people won't go to him. So it's like, oh, that's all right. It's a jaywalking ticket. I know you just murdered somebody in front of me. It's a jaywalking ticket. Don't worry about it. Like that's how he's setting himself up.
Right. Exactly. He's just lazy.
I'm trying to remember who is. It's Janine Garofalo, but who's his other partner? Or his not his partner, his deputy. It's annoying me because I remember him being no Emmerich. That's right.
Yep.
The guy that knew that the zombie virus was inside of us. Yep. Spoiler.
But
Truman Burbank's best friend.
I like Janine. I like her in this role.
I'm one of those guys that when you show me a comedian taking on a role like that, I'm immediately interested. I've always been like that. I loved it when Williams did it in the late 80s, early 90s. I was always like, Robin Williams is doing a drama, I'm in.
Same.
But just anything where like the comedian doesn't do the comedian thing. I love Running Scared with Billy Crystal. He's still being Billy Crystal, but then there's the serious stuff. So Janine Garofalo is great for a role like that because she's dry to begin with. So it kind of lends itself to her like kind of almost being fed up with how things run in this town.
And that's what I like about her, though. And this is my second time actually seeing her in a movie. Like we ended up reviewing The Cable Guy, and she was in that movie playing Medieval Times, playing the maiden in that. So just to see her doing something serious and outside her element is something that I love, and also how real and realistic she actually is.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really like about her character is like, it's like everyday real conversation. Something about her just feels real. Like you believe that she's actually a cop.
Yeah. Yeah. And whoever did the casting for this movie knocks it out of the park. It's one of those rare ensembles where you're like, whoa, wait, oh my God, they're in this too. What? Can you stop? And casting Janine Garofalo in this role, it could have gone to a dramatic actor, but they went with somebody that has that, I don't want to say abrasive edge, but there's something about her that can, if you push her, she's going to go either way.
Right. Exactly.
So it's perfect casting choice.
I definitely agree with that. So now we got Randon's wife, Liz, the woman Heflin saved from drowning, visits Heflin at his home, and they confess their feelings for each other. Meanwhile, the cocaine addicted Figs is kicked out of Dolan's circle, and his house burns down soon after with his girlfriend inside. Heflin lets him stay at his home, thinking that Dolan tried to kill him. Fearing Babbage will expose him, Dolan unnecessarily tries to drown his nephew. Babbage escapes and goes to Huffin to help, but flees when he sees Figs during the drug bust in New York. Randon is thrown off a roof to his death. Dolan chooses not to save him after learning that Randon has been sleeping with his wife, Rose. So
that's a pretty brutal scene.
Yeah.
That's a really brutal scene. They set him up for that too. That's yeah. Honestly, I'm not going to tell you any of my thoughts for that. I really want to know like what your thoughts are on like everything that happened here, because like I'll tell you it's brutal, and I'll tell you where it's great, and I'll tell you I can't think of a scene in this movie where I'm like, oh, they could have cut that. So
I really feel like every scene was necessary.
Absolutely, everything was pushing it forward. It's kind of like,
and I didn't even feel the runtime. It's an hour and 44 minutes, and you don't even feel the runtime on this.
And you know that there's an extended cut.
What? I didn't even know that. I watched the regular theatrical cut.
No, that's fine, and but there's an extended cut, and I still can't get my hands on it, but I'm dying to see it.
Okay, I might have to check that out because I know I didn't like The Outsiders extended cut. that sucked on what they did to that movie.
It's the after school special music that kills that movie for me. I
Yeah.
like Coppola, but oh god,
They overkilled it with the music and
my
overshadowed the dialogue.
It's like, hey kids, don't do drugs. It's 3 p.m. Oh, and Susie got kidnapped because she spoke to strangers, the outsiders.
Right.
Right.
But with this, I feel like everything was necessary. I thought when the woman Heaven saved from drowning was necessary because it actually shows why he wants to be a cop.
Yeah.
Because I like how he's looking over to the distance, right? Because his other the other police officers pulling someone over for something. He's like, and I thought some shit was gonna go down. I really thought that, okay, this is just everyday life for a small town cop, right? So my first instance was like, there's gonna be a shooting here. Because when another cop is watching another cop, it's you already know it's not going to be good. But they didn't do that. The guy just goes on ahead, writes out the ticket. These other people of color comes moving up to him and goes, "You know this is harassment, right?" Da 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 da. I'm like, really? There was no suspense. There goes, but I'm actually like, you know what? I'm glad it wasn't like that because then it would be paint by the numbers thing that I've seen over and over again. But I do like how he glances over underneath the bridge and has that flashback of him rescuing this one woman from drowning, and he winds up becoming deaf because of it and losing his hearing. So you get some ground on who he is, and he's not corrupt. He's just lazy. That's all he is.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a really cool scene. It's not that scene, but I think it might
But
be
I like
earlier.
the younger self. I like
He's
him
in
looking
his-
back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go on.
But this is what I like about it, though, man. Like, I like how he's like looking at himself as a younger Stallone and being like, this is who I was, and this is who I am now. And I wish I can go back to being who I was then, because who I was then, I could probably be an NYPD officer, but now I'm stuck in a sheriff's position that doesn't really hold any weight or anything. Even De Niro winds up telling him, "You're not a cop." And my wife's like, "Why did he say that?" I said, "Because technically he has no jurisdiction over anything. They just give him this little pin like you would get at Dollywood and say, you're the sheriff."
Pretty much. And that's why I was going to say, like, sometimes you see he's in his car, and if you hear, there's one scene where he just looks across the river because, like, he just hears sirens go off, and he just looks across the river like, I wish I was there driving a car in Midtown Manhattan arresting somebody. That wasn't a good Stallone either. I'm sorry, folks, that you have to tolerate my Stalloneisms.
But but then also too, you also have this other thing that happens, and I know I'm jumping around, but there's just like key moments for me that I really enjoyed with this. But then of course Ray Liotta's coked out of his mind. His girlfriend winds up becoming barbecue because of the bombs and stuff like that. That he picked up himself. So he didn't even know that he was picking up bombs from Edie Falco to kill his own wife.
Yeah.
Which is sick to think about. Like,
now a loose end because he's a cokehead. You can't trust that.
Right. And of course he was also a cokehead in Goodfellas. And of course
and he ended up a schnook.
Right. But, I really like how he's playing off of this. I love how Ray is like, this is, my wife died. I don't know what to do. I'm also scared, just as, just basically off of how Babbage is also scared as well. So I like how they're playing off the narrative of that. But then you also have where Babbage is over there at his aunt's house at this party, and I'm like, is she gonna poison his ass? Because I thought what she was doing. Yeah. Because when I was first watching it, it looked like she was trying to poison him, and then I'm like, okay, that doesn't really fit the narrative of that, but it makes sense because think of it like this: if his uncle gets a hold of him, it's going to be 10 times worse.
Yeah.
So let me kill my own nephew by doing this because I'm helping him, even though I'm not really.
Right.
But it's like she's trying to do him a favor, I feel like, by doing that, if she was doing that. But then he winds up being drowning inside the swimming pool because the mayor even said it. He's like, we need a body. If without a body, the case is open. So therefore, in order for us to close this case, we have to go ahead and kill him. So what do? They go up to the swimming pool. And I'm like, this is not good. And Babbage is like, so when am I gonna have my new life? What's going on? I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
dude,
that's
you are dumb. Because he's
well,
supposed to be the Superboy cop. That he's so smart, he's dumb.
but he's because he's trusting his family,
Right.
and he's seen. I think it's because he's seen how that circle works. That like he doesn't expect that. That's why he's kind of like being. I don't want to say that he's being stupid about it, but he's definitely being super naive.
Right. And also too, you also have that other thing too, where I forgot what the character's name was. He played in Shocker. He also plays the domestic violence douchebag that beats up the wife. That cop.
From Shocker.
Yeah, there was an actor who played in Shocker. That was in this, but basically what I'm trying to say is like that douchebag cop was like, hey, I thought we were going to give him a new life. Why are you killing him? He goes, what the hell do you think we're doing? You really believe that we were really going to give him a new life? After everything he knows, you really thought that he was going to just go on ahead and give him a new life and stuff like that? No. I'm sorry, dude. That's not the way it works. He's also in that inner circle. He knows too much. So why would you go ahead and do that? Why would you think that? So, and I like how Babbage is also running away. He doesn't know where to go. And then they have this one shot up above where the water tower is. And when they're looking for him, I'm like, is he up there? But how would he be up there all this time? And we don't know that until Stallone actually finds him hiding out, eating Campbell's noodle soup. So
you can eat Campbell's noodle soup out of the can.
Yeah.
It's salty, but you can do it. Yeah. And he's in a water tower, so.
But still, I thought that was neat about how they had like a little small lair for him just to actually eat the soup. But I was really on pins and needles with him because I'm wondering, is he going to survive this? What's going to happen to him? I thought that was a really good, cool thing to see. Then you also have Huffin to help, but okay. So basically, we have Babbage who escapes and goes to Huffin to help, but flees when he sees Figs during a drug bust in New York. Randon is thrown off to his death. Dolan chooses not to save him after learning that Randon has been sleeping with his wife Rose. So basically, he just goes on ahead and just lets him just shuts the door and just lets him fall to his death.
Yeah, it's so brutal, man. It's so brutal.
I'm like, that is messed up, but I get why you did that.
I mean, cover your ass.
Let's talk about this though. What did you think of the whole scene where they're introducing Stallone to the mayor? And he's like, wait, really? I get to be part of the NYPD police force? He goes, man, what did I tell you? It's not about what you know, it's who you know. And so he's thinking that he's going to get his life that he never had, but he doesn't realize the consequences that he's going to have with it as well. He's blinded by this whole entire thing.
Well, they're giving him that vibe of like, we're going to let you feel like you're part of us, even though you're an outsider, but we still need you to step all over. We need you to turn, look the other way. But, oh, hey, yeah, come on. Oh, buddy, dude, we got some quarters for you for the pinball machine too, dude. Come on, come with us. We've got you, man.
Yeah.
Hey, you got quarters. All right, I'm coming. I don't need to see the mayor.
But yeah, dude, like, I'm like, you're basically the fall guy in case shit goes down.
Yeah.
That's all you are at this point.
The finger gets pointed at him.
Oh, wow. And he doesn't even realize it. He's just so enthused with wanting to be an NYPD officer and wanting to be part of the circle. He's like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. They're not going to let you participate in reindeer games. I'm sorry, dude. You're not going to be part of their circle, no matter which way you think about it.
They're just going to point at you and go like, I'm not gonna make fun of people. I was gonna call them fatty or something. That's just not
Right.
cool. But especially because there's an actor who's known for his physique
Right.
to do that. I can't imagine the depression he had to suffer. I mean, a good thing cocaine probably helped him out, but allegedly,
Allegedly. But
allegedly,
I like how he had to pack on the pounds to become this cop because it does look like this guy that, that's just a laid back country life kind of style sheriff. So that's what I
yeah,
like. But then you have after Langanda threatens him at a gas station, Heffen looks into the fire at Fig's house, realizes that it was arson. Figgs admits that he started the fire to commit insurance fraud so he could leave Garrison and start over. The two men argue, and Figgs abandons Heffen and drives away. Heffen goes to Rose and convinces her to reveal where Babbage is hiding, planning to hand him over to Titan. After sending Bill away for his own protection, Heffen walks Babbage over to his car, but is ambushed by Rucker, who fires a gun next to his good ear and renders him completely deaf, disc bobulated. Heflin follows Rucker as he drives Babbage to Dolan's residence. But, then you have that thing with De Niro who's trying to tell him, hey, look, I'll let you break down that scene. But
well, he's just telling him like when he goes to De Niro in the city, he's like, "No, I want to help now. I want to help now," and like their case was already shut because of I forgot why their case got shut. To be honest,
well, remember, the mayor said in order for the case to remain open,
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
there has to be a body. So therefore, De
right.
Niro's like, well, fuck it. What's the point?
Yeah, that's it.
It's shot to hell. Go to lunch.
And the whole thing about discussing the condiments was all ad lib, which I
Really?
thought was good. Yeah, yeah, and that's the
pretty
first
cool.
scene. I think that's the first scene they filmed. And that's the scene where I just Stallone just like begging, like, no, come on, let me help you now. But speaking coherently,
Right.
and then De Niro like, I gave you your chance and you blew it.
Right. You had a chance to be a cop.
Right.
This could have been your ticket to be an NYPD officer, but you just blew your chance at doing that.
Yeah.
Because you're so close up their ass to the point where you don't know what to believe. And it took me having to pull out all my to do what I had to do to get you to do the job. No, sorry, you had your chance. Now you blew it. Now my case is fucked because of you, and now I have to rely on you if you screw up the whole entire thing.
Right. Yeah. So
Because
you're going to screw it up further, and you're going to make my job even twice as hard.
Right. And then he winds up stealing the files, and even Garofalo's like, you stole the files, right? Well, I had this is my chance to be a cop. So, but I'm like, dude, you're being stupid. I understand that you're trying to do this investigation now, but it's too little, too late. These cops have already gone away with everything. They threatened your life, and now it's time to be a hero. And you're blindsided by everything that's going on.
Yeah, but then you sizers and he gets the headband and he puts on his bow and arrow and he gets his survival knife. He's like, I'm gonna get the bad guys now.
Oh, the bad guys. I guess I'll go ahead and shoot a couple of people around the neighborhood.
I mean, he kind of essentially does that.
It's kind of like GTA, not San Andreas. What's the one that I'm thinking of? Vice City, where he's going.
Is that the one where you can just like drive, you can run over people and get points for it?
That's basically every Grand Theft Auto game, but maybe.
All right. I don't know.
I don't know, but still, though, I mean, then all of a sudden he's like, "Look, I got to take out these guys myself," and he winds up going over to all the cops' houses, and he winds up killing every single one of them, and he's also can't hear anybody either.
And he does it all in self-defense too.
Right.
He's walking up the street. He's holding the shotgun, but everybody shoots before him. It's all self-defense. And it's done so well because he's not like, crack shot. Like people take a million shots at him, and he's just even the guy behind him because he can't hear, but he sees him in the rear view mirror.
Right. And it's
Yeah.
also what I like about this is too, it's realistic with the shotgun because the shotgun winds up when you go try to reload, it gets stuck. So I'm like the realistic of it because in every action movie, it's like they have unlimited ammo and they also all the time it doesn't get stuck. The chamber doesn't get stuck. This one, it gets stuck. He pulls out his gun and starts shooting out more people. And then Ray Liotta, you don't expect him to actually help. And it blew me away to see him helping him.
Well, I mean, keep in mind how, Carmela pretty much blew up his house, helped him blow up his house on, purpose-ish, sort of. So he's got a bone to pick too, but he can't just go after them and kill them because or else he's screwed. So, let me help you because they're going to shoot at me. Now I've got a defense.
Exactly.
That's the last 10 minutes of that movie too, like really do satisfy. Because like you said earlier, it is a slow burn, but then you get to them like, shooting like right beside his other ear. And also how that scene is shot or just the sound editing on that scene. It's just the high ringing and just the muffled sounds of everything is awesome. It really brings that scene home even
and the
more.
Ringing, the way they did the sound effects for the ringing, and then everything's muted and muffled, and we're hearing everything from his perspective.
Bang, bang, bang. Oh, that's the outside sound effects. Sorry.
Right. That's close enough. It's a shared universe now. But
no, don't do that.
No, just kidding.
No.
But so then we get that thing where now he's walking Michael Rappaport's character over to Mo. Babmont's actually go, and then he's like, "Look, it's okay, man. It's okay. Think, just trying to."
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because he's trying to hold on to Rappaport.
Right.
When the cops go to take him, he's like, no. That's right. And he can't hear, of course.
Right.
Oh, man, that ending is so great.
It is. And then, he becomes the hero that he's been wanting, but now he's stuck still in that same town. Nothing really happens, but he's this hero in this small town now, in this community. That's all he is. He doesn't get bumped up. And
but now there's going to be a whole new slew of neighbors that he's going to have to get to know, that are going to have to get to know him. He's going to have to vet them all. Like, yeah, you can't live here.
No, you're a sheriff. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
You can live here.
Okay. Yeah, you can live here. Never
Where's
mind.
Bobby De Niro? I want Bobby De Niro to live here.
But you know what though? It's like self-identification of who he is. So he's like, you know what? I'm not worried about it being an NYPD officer now. I know who I am. This is where I am. This is where I belong. I don't belong over there. That was the dream. This is not and this is my reality. And this is where I am. I'm just stuck.
Well, he also got the taste of what that would be like and was just like, oh, screw that.
This.
My hearing's going to come back in the one ear. I'd like to keep that.
Right. But it's like, you know what? You guys have so much paperwork to do in the New York City area. So I'm just going to do my little small town.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. He's like, oh, if I get into a fight like that in the city, I got to fill out all this paper. I don't want to do that.
Right. Exactly.
I got to stop doing Stallone voice.
But dude, I'm just glad. Yeah. But I'm just glad I got a chance to watch this.
Dude, I'm really glad you got to see it, man. I'm so glad you got to see it because I was seeing when we were talking in the chat and you were listing all these movies you're into. I'm like, oh, dude, you got to see Copland. Like, Copland is just, I don't know how to, I don't want to say it's like, it's nothing like you've never ever seen before, but like, if you've never seen Copland before and you like Stallone movies, it's nothing you've ever seen before, ever.
No, because we're used to the one layer Stallone movies and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's it. This one, he adds layers to his characters. We care about him, his characterization of a character, and also emotional attachment to a character that we want to root for in hopes that he gets his comeuppance later on. And then you have that slow burn. It kind of has that Heat kind of feel to it that I love from Heat. But with Stallone.
Heat's a top 5 flick for me.
Yeah. Which is another movie that we reviewed. Yeah.
Heat is with Jason, who's such an awesome dude.
Yeah.
He he's a slow burn, but the thing that's ballsy about that movie is that Vincent Hanna is working on 3 cases at once. And I really wanna see, like, the cut where he's a cokehead. 'Cause,
Yeah, that would
you
be
know,
in.
well, no, Vincent Hanna was supposed to be a cokehead, and they shot
Right.
a lot of footage of him as a cokehead. And I guess, "Give me all you got!" Like, of course, we're not talking about Heat. I could talk
No,
about Heat forever,
but
but
still
yeah.
though.
It's the
But
same
I'm just
slow burn
saying,
where you get to that ending where you're like, "That's so cool."
and it's satisfying. It's satisfying to see Stallone do this, and it's not
Right.
forced dialogue. It's not one layered. It's not one trick pony show that we've seen before. If I'm gonna have to rate this out of 10, I'm gonna probably go like an 8.8 out of 10 on this. I'm going hot.
I mean, I'm gonna go with a 9,
And
9.5, and strictly because I am so in love with Stallone's performance in this movie. It's one of my like, yes, over the years of film, there have been countless performances where you're like, "Oh my god, that's incredible." But Stallone's is, like, really up there for me. I'm not gonna say it's my favorite film performance ever, but it's one of them. And I
right.
wish it's the movie that pisses me off as somebody that enjoys watching Stallone because you see what he's capable of and how it seems so natural for him to be an incredible actor, and we get it so infrequently.
I see that, but now that I'm seeing him in like Tulsa King and stuff like that, I could definitely see him be more than that now.
Yeah, which I'm really hoping for, and I'm not saying that he's a bad actor to
No,
start
no, no,
with. I'm
no. It's
not
just
like
the stuff he
it's just
decides to do.
right. He's taking the paycheck. He's not. I mean, it's a gig, and when you're in like the entertainment field, granted, he's a star. He could take anything he wants, or anything he thinks Arnold wants. The stopper of my mom will shoot was a prank,
Right.
which is probably one of the greatest pranks ever. But it's still you don't know that you're going to be a star forever. So where's that check going to come from? So
Right.
you've got to earn the money. Oh, is this what people want to see me do? Cool. And it sucks that like to some extent he got typecast. So when he does a movie like Copland, people are like, where's the action? It's kind of like when Sandler did Punch Drunk Love and Spanglish. People are like, well, it's not funny, blah, blah, blah. And that's why the end of Click is so goddamn sad. He's like, I want to act also. I don't want to just
Right.
be goofy. Oh, yeah, guy. Like
Right.
he wants to, act and perform. So you get this depressing half hour of Click because imbeciles went, hey, this isn't funny.
I liked Uncut Gems with Sandler.
He is so
I
good in that.
also liked Spanglish. The one movie that I have to say that's underrated, I know that we're going a little off topic here in a sense, but it's Rain Over Me with Adam Sandler.
Dude, he is great in that.
No
That
one
was
talks
Jamie
about that.
Foxx, right? Nobody ever talks about
No,
that.
it's
He
with
lost his
what's his name? He played on
Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle. Yeah.
Don Cheadle. Um,
And it's highly underrated. No one talks about Sandler's performance in that
that's
at all.
PTSD at some of its finest.
Yes.
And like Sandler's a guy that grew up in the city. So like that 9/11 stuff hits him harder
Right.
than it would
And
most people.
to segue back into Copland, it just shows you how much Stallone can do if you have the right script, the right writing, the right director to help him. And he knocked it out of the park. As a matter of fact, this is for me, I would go back and rewatch this again because it's that good.
Of course you would. Have you rewatched Heat yet? Or is it just too soon?
Actually, it's a little too soon. I have to
Okay.
rewatch that again. But
Fair
it's
enough.
one of those movies that I have to rewatch again, no matter what.
Yeah.
It's in the pantheon of Goodfellas and is also in the pantheon of The Godfather for me.
So I like Goodfellas. I think Casino's better if we're gonna go with the Scorsese
Yeah.
mob movies. My favorite Scorsese mob flick is still The Departed.
Yeah.
But I like Goodfellas. I find it overrated at times until I'm watching it, and then when I'm watching, I'm like, no, it's not overrated. What am I fucking kidding myself? But I think like it's in that pantheon. I wouldn't quite put it in Godfather 2 territory, which is probably the greatest film ever made. Probably. There's also The Room. with Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero, which is also one of the greatest movies ever made, but for completely different reasons.
Right.
But Heat, I would still put Heat in that, I guess, Goodfellas, Casino, Departed territory, but it almost it's almost a little more elevated than that. It's not quite Godfather 2, but I'd say it's a bit better than I like Michael Mann's slow burn stuff. Like even Collateral is a very slow burn. So
Yeah.
it's cool that you're putting it up there with The Godfather, though, man. That's really cool because it's Heat.
Right. Exactly. I mean, come on. It has some of the best lines in there. There's a lot of great range and direction with the narrative, especially the diner scene is hands down one of the best scenes in that. Because of that cat and mouse game that they play. But yeah.
And it's so cool because like I'm a fan of like when the villain and the hero, for lack of better terms, because they both teeter on the edge. They're both, they're both Walter Whites, where there's good and bad in you.
Yes.
And you can see that from De Niro with his woman and how much he does want to bring her with him and how like she did break him down a bit. And we see that with Pacino, how much he loves his TV. And that scene in the diner and the ending scene, because of the diner scene, is just like, hey, we're a couple of guys, we get along. That's cool, but we're still going to do what we do.
Exactly. At the end of the day, I'm going to go ahead and arrest you. At the end of the day, you could wind up dead. So,
right.
Yeah. But yeah, all in all, great movie. I definitely recommend Copland if you guys haven't seen it. It's not streaming anywhere, but I ended up renting it on YouTube for like $4. So it was definitely worth the $4 pay. If you guys are interested in checking that out. If you guys are interested in checking out mine and Jason's review of Heat, that's actually on all platforms for a podcast. I just dropped the Outsiders review today on the audio podcast, so check that out. Beth and I did that. Daredevil after shows every Thursday at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time for that. So if you're into like spoiler-ish stuff, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be spoiling Daredevil. Yes, I know. You don't.
I haven't seen it yet.
No.
I'm psyched.
But all I'm going to say is fan-fucking-tastic. Check it out.
Awesome. I'm psyched.
But yeah, Sean, do you have anything as far as stuff that you want to put out there?
There is so much stuff that I would like to put out there, but I'm going to focus on the music. But before I focus on the music, I'm going to tell you the reason I want you to buy my music, good people, is because I love animals. I love cats. I love my cats. I love your cats. I love shelter cats. I want to help shelters. I want to help cats. I have feral cats I take care of. I'm sure, somebody out there is like, oh, I need $50 to get my cat to the vet because she's sick and I don't have it. Buy my music. And when enough of it is sold, I can say, hey, here's $50. I've shelled out a few bucks in the past couple months because I want to do this. I'm not patting myself on the back for it. It sounded like that. Sorry. The more of my music you buy, yes, I can pay my bills too, which is also important. But I can also just help animals because animals are our friends. They won't pick you up at the airport, but they give you so much unconditional love.
Yes,
and like I said, they really do, man. And so I've got my feral cats that I love so much, and that's not free. I don't have to feed them. I choose to feed them. So my song Gin Asylum is the one where I would love 1 million sales of the song. I mean, if you're going to stream it, that's cool. Artists don't really make a lot of money from streaming. And if you've got $1, you got $1. I mean, how much do you spend on coffee 3 or 4 times a day that you can make at the office? You don't need like some $9.50 like grand frappy mocha, half mocha, like some mint, but it's mintless mint. You don't need to spend $11 4 times a day on this. I mean, you can if you want to, if you like it. I'm not going to shame you for it, but you've got $1 is what I'm saying. And you're also supporting indie musicians that, whether it's myself or another artist that you like, buy music from indie musicians.
Yes.
They need the support. And I'm not just speaking on my behalf. On my behalf, though, I have a goal besides keeping a roof over my head and keeping my family happy. and it's just animals. If I want to be at a point where if a rescue in the area is like, oh, hey, our washing machine broke, let me buy you a washing machine. This is a goal I have, and I'd like to
Okay.
have this goal. So that's my song Gin Asylum. And also my newest release is called Status Quo Radio. And it's pretty much a sarcastic look at how social media and these things taken over our lives. We are addicted to staring at screens. And I kind of like to poke fun at that stuff because we're all armchair quarterbacks about something now. People are like, oh, I took an acting class in college and I haven't practiced any of that in 30 years, but here's what that actor's doing wrong. Well, how do you know? Things change. If you're an armchair quarterback, I don't want to hear anything from you. And we know that the past 8 years have been, and I don't talk about this, but armchair politicians. Like, where's your degree? Where's your expertise? You're going by what your Uncle Milt told you on Facebook, pal. Come on. So, and that's the kind of sarcasm I'm bringing to Status Quo Radio.
Okay.
It's got a Pink Floyd vibe. Intro by the wonderfully voiced Drunken Taoist podcast host Daniele Bolelli. So I've got some. You just get a really, really wonderful voice introducing the song to you folks. So, but of course, Sean Faust Linktree will take you to anywhere you can buy my music. And hey, if you want to stream it, that's cool. I get it. I understand. Times are hard. But if you got that extra buck or an extra $5, buy some tunes. Help me help animals, man. It's about the animals. If you're religious, you know, God gave man dominion over all animals. It doesn't mean so we can eat them. I'm not
also
a vegan.
Gave us a man who can make music. So
no, that's true. That's true. So if you're religious, I'm a spiritual person. I don't follow any kind of one religion because that's another story for another time.
Yeah.
But so God gave man dominion over animals, and it's not to put them on steaks so we can cook them. I mean, that's one reason, I guess, if that's your thing.
I like steak, but yeah.
Hey man, you know, like anytime I'm at a gig and they feed us, they give us a burger, that's cool, but it's to take care of the animals. So I just want to take care of my babies. They're all my babies. Your animals, dude, they're my babies. I love them to death.
Okay.
That's just the way it is.
And Sean will go on ahead and give me links to his music and stuff like that. And I'll have that in the description for you guys to go on ahead and buy. Check them out on streaming or whatever you guys get want to do as far as your platforms go. As far as me goes, I'm going to go on ahead and buy some of his music to actually help support his animals. So there you go. But guys, do me a big favor. Follow Sean and all social medias wherever you find him. Also, to support his music. Also, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe button, all that good stuff in here at Movie Lovers Unite. Also, don't forget, Thursday night, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, Dawn and Chris will be back again. And we're going to be reviewing Daredevil Episode 4. So go on ahead and make sure you watch Daredevil Episode 4 on Tuesday. So that way you guys can check us out on Thursday for a spoiler review. So with that being said, guys, that's going to be as far as the show goes. Thank you again, Sean. I do appreciate it. Thank you, you're very welcome. And please stay behind backstage once we close out, so that way I can actually exit you out of the stage properly. Yep. All right, guys. Have a great and safe day, and bye-bye.